Is the US government really actively hunting real living breathing giants in the Kandahar Mountains of Afghanistan? Could the Kandahar Mountains of Afghanistan really harbor a dark living and breathing secret?
I don't know what the hell I saw, and nobody ever briefed us about what it was.
Since the ancient times, stories of giants roaming the earth have been spoken about throughout history. Although, the last giants believed to have walked on earth were thought to have gone extinct during the times of Noah's great flood. But is there more to the story of giants than has ever really been spoken of before?
I think they knew what we were looking for, and I think they're aware of what's going on in those mountains.
Could these giant creatures still exist today? And is the US military actively hunting and capturing them in the Afghanistan mountains? In 2005, Steve Quayle first broke the story of the Kandahar giant on the popular radio show Coast to Coast AM. Steve claimed to have been contacted by a retired army commander who preferred to remain anonymous. He said that in 2002, in a remote area of Afghanistan, a US Special Ops unit was searching for a missing army patrol group who had gone missing in the Kandahar region of the Afghanistan mountains. During the search of the area where the unit had gone missing, they came upon a cave located in the side of a mountain. There were bones scattered around the entrance, along with a piece of army communications equipment. Suddenly a man emerged from the cave, standing 12 to 15 feet tall. He had a red beard, long red hair, fair complexion, 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot, and 2 rows of teeth. One member of the Special Ops unit ran at the giant, and began to shoot. The giant skewered the soldier on a pike, as the others continued to shoot and kill the giant. In 2016, paranormal researcher L.A. Marzulli corroborated the account with 2 soldiers. One of which was one of the soldiers who actually shot and killed the giant. The Special Ops soldier, aka the shooter, told Marzulli in his interview that after they shot and killed the giant, they searched the cave for the lost military unit. Inside the cave, they did in fact find the remains of human bones, leading the military to think that the creature was indeed a cannibal, and had most likely eaten the lost squad. Marzulli's second witness was a former military soldier who had served in Afghanistan a few years after the attack. Code-named Mr. D. Although Mr. D was not a direct witness to the attack, he had heard about the story while serving in Afghanistan. Rumors around base were that a special unit was attacked in a cave by a giant man. At first I didn't think much of it, but after speaking to locals around base, I realized this story was not a joke. In 2017, George Norrie's popular radio show, Coast to Coast AM, again brought light to the story of the Kandahar giant, when they played a recorded testimony from the C-130, US Air Force pilot, who had brought the giant's corpse to America in 2002. In the pilot's own words, he said, "The creature weighed 1,100 pounds, and it was between 10 to 15 feet in length. It had multiple gunshots to the head and body. The face was destroyed, and unable to determine any features." He said, "It was a very bizarre sight to see. It is like a tale straight out of the Bible. I think it could be a creature they called a Nephilim, like in the stories in the Bible. And we must assume that this giant was not alone, it can't be the only one living on this planet. There must be others, somewhere out there. Maybe he had a mate, or children, who knows." Norrie concluded the conversation by asking the pilot how many men were in the transport team inside the C-130. The pilot replied, 6 men were on board at the time. In 2018, a radio interview, from a since removed, and very popular YouTube channel, emerged with another witness to the story of the Kandahar giant. Although, once again not a direct witness to the event in 2002. In the interview, the ex-military pilot, who was announced as Mr. Green, claimed to have not only seen a living breathing giant, as recently as 2015, but also believes there are more than just one of them still living in the Kandahar Mountains, to this very day.
Imagine the stuff we don't.
I flew for the United States Air Force for almost 8 years. I was stationed in Afghanistan for 3 of those 8. I was stationed out at the Kandahar airfield in Afghanistan. It's one of the largest air bases in all of Afghanistan, one of the largest U.S. military air bases. I flew surveillance missions over Afghanistan and Iraq. I was actually one of the last pilots to fly with the Liberty program before they brought in the Reaper fleet. My missions basically were to fly over the designated destinations and send back any intelligence we could, surveillance and reconnaissance. We collected over 8,000 terrorists and uncovered over 650 weapon caches during our missions with the Liberty program. These people would tell their stories of these cannibalistic giants living in the caves. I kind of laughed it off most of the time. I'm more of a skeptic to this kind of story. I didn't believe there could be anything like any kind of a giant. I thought it was more of a story people told their kids to keep them, from wandering off into the desert. Turned out, this story was true. It's believed these giants actually move around underground. It's also believed these giants have been there for a long time. U.S. military has been well aware of it. A lot of the reconnaissance missions we were sent on were direct missions to see if we could spot one of these giants. Must have been around middle of 2015. We were called to do our normal flights. That's the first time I saw something I couldn't explain. We were called and told to divert from our normal flight path to check an area a little more due north from where we were at. So we changed course and headed in our new direction. We were told we were looking for movement on the ground, that they had movement, that radar picked up movement on the ground. So we went with our eyes bolted to the ground, hoping to see something. What we saw was roughly an 8-foot tall man running through the desert. At first, he didn't look like a man. At first, I thought it was an animal. I thought it was a bear, but the bear was running, and he wasn't slowing down for nothing. We had to take another return flight over the top to see what we were looking at, and it was a man. He was running like the wind. We called it in. We told him we see what looks like a man about 8 foot tall. And then there was a large pause on the radio before we were told, try to stay with the target. Well, that was kind of difficult to do because we had to fly back around. So as we made our second pass, we had lost him. We were told at that point to return to base. So Captain wants you to return to base and to make sure you come directly to his office. I think they knew what we were looking for, and I think they're aware of what's going on in those mountains. The United States Air Force did not seem to be surprised by what we said we saw. Now, if this is some kind of a super soldier of some kind, that's something new to us. I don't know what the hell I saw, and nobody ever briefed us about what it was. Well, I know what I saw. I can tell you right now, the stories of the Kandahar giant are true.
Did Mr. Green really see a red-haired giant while on patrol in 2015? And better yet, did a giant really attack a group of soldiers in 2002? Are the stories of giants being seen and captured in the Kandahar Mountains really part of a secret program to create super soldiers with the DNA of living giants, as Steve Quayle believes? Ufologist and researcher David Wilcock believes the giants of Kandahar may be direct descendants of the red-haired giants recently found in the Antarctica. Now, we want to know what you believe. Are the stories of the red-haired giants of Afghanistan, being hunted and captured, really true? And if so, for what purpose? Could the government really be using giant DNA to create super soldiers? How many witness testimonies does it take to open one's eyes to the truth that giants may very well still exist?
This has been the Confidential Report. For even more stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel today. And please show your support by clicking the like button on this video. For even more stories and news you deserve to know the truth about, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching the Confidential Report.